I've been getting a lot of questions about the dreaded early release syndrome. And so today in this video, I'm gonna give you some tips that's gonna fix you up. Let's go. All right, thanks for stopping by. Again, a lot of you have been asking about how to fix that early release, and we're gonna tackle that today. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that and hit the bell. You know, YouTube, they're good, but they're not the greatest at notifying you. So hit that bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. If you like any of the gear I'm using, there are links in the description below for everything. Also, if you want a little more instruction, a little more detailed kind of instruction and other types of videos, I do have a paid membership site, so a link below is for that as well. It's like $4.99 a month if that's something you're into. If not, that's cool as well. Just subscribe to this channel and you'll get all this free stuff here that I've been producing anyways. So just if you want more, there you go. Let's get to this release video. You're gonna love it. Okay, so that early release, that is when your hands are releasing way too soon. Obviously, early release, right? So how do we stop that from happening? There's 5 things I want you to do. And well, technically 6, but one's a freebie. Here's the first thing. If you are rotating your hands open, if you're rotating that face open, you gotta stop doing that, okay? Because then you're gonna unrotate that and you're gonna release early. So you can't not have an early release if you're rotating those hands too much, okay? So we gotta stop that. So there's a video I do about long irons. I'll link it up here. I want you to watch that. It's gonna help you keep that club face square. And that's step 1, sort of step 1, it's a free step of no early rotation. So pause here, watch that video, the long iron, I'll link it below too, so it's there. So you know we gotta keep that face shut, stop rotating those hands open, okay? Then come back. All right, welcome back. Now let's get to those 5 steps. Step 1, here's what you're gonna do. You are going to, we have to start with our hips, okay? A lot of times, because you release early, a lot of different things are happening. And one is your hips aren't working properly. You're swaying back most of the time, so we gotta stop that sway back. So we're gonna get a proper rotation. That means none of this. This back hip just goes straight back, okay? We're gonna start the swing with our hips, okay? So it's gonna look like this. This is your first move, right there. Your first move is hips only, not weight transfer. Forget about that. Turn that hips. That's your first move. Okay, step 1, you're gonna start with your hips. Boom. Hips first. It'll look something like this. Hips only. Most of the time we're out of sequence for early release, so we gotta get those hips moving first. Once we get all the pieces together, it'll make a lot more sense. Okay, step 2, very important. So get those hips moving first, practice that, like about 1,000 times. Then move on to step 2. Step 2 is this. I wanna go hips, hands. Hips, hands. So I'm not gonna move the club head, I'm gonna move my hands. It's gonna look like this. Hands are gonna move back like this. So it's gonna be hips, hands. Think that. Hips are 1, hands are 2. Hips, I'm not moving the club head. Not doing that. I'm just moving my hands. It's gonna look weird. That's fine. It's a drill. It's gonna help you. Hips, hands. Okay? So think hips, hands, like that. That's what it's gonna look like. Hips, hands. It's gonna feel weird at first. Wait till we get all the pieces together and then it'll all come together. Hips, hands, hands is step 2. The goal is to stop hitting here and to start hitting here. Okay, and that's where we're getting. So hips, hands. Hips, hands. Okay, step number 3. This is gonna be cool, okay? So you got your hips moving, you got your hands moving. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna plant on our left foot. Okay, hips, hands are gonna be here. You're gonna plant down on that left side. Heel, that front heel goes in the ground. It looks like this. hips, hands, plant that down. Okay? It doesn't have to come up and go down, but you gotta feel like your weight is slamming down on that left foot. Hips, hands, plant that down, okay? So you got hips, hands, I'm planting this down. Right here, right there, okay? Hips, hands, plant. That's step 3. Hips, hands, plant. So that's step 3. Step 4 is this. Hips, hands, plant, right here, turn. The plant and turn happens at the same time. Okay, we're planting and turning and driving forward. Everything's going this way. Your lower body, right? You're planting those hips, moving forward and turn, and now you're rotating. Okay, you're rotating. You're still, these haven't done anything. You plant and you rotate. Okay, you've got to keep those. Also, just keep your wrists real loose. They should be loose because you started like that. Okay, so that plant is 3, rotate is 4. Count it off. Hips, hands, plant, turn, rotate. Turn and rotate are the same thing. Hips, hands, plant, turn. If you don't turn, you're gonna shank that sucker way right. What other direction do those shanks go? Okay? Hips, hands, plant, turn. Hips, hands, plant, turn. Hips, hands, plant, turn. There's one more step. You're gonna love it. I'm gonna show it this angle and I'm gonna show it that angle because you need them both. Here we go. Your release. Step 5 is release. Release the hounds. The problem is we're doing it wrong. We release wrong. We're gonna release right. Here we go. Your release is not at the ball. Your release is not at the ball. Don't release at the ball. Your release is right out there at your target, at the flag, at the stick, at the fairway. That direction is your release. I'm releasing there. Like if you're batting, I don't want to hit here. I mean, if you're batting, you would hit here, but I want to hit here, okay? I want to hit it out there. That's what I want to release. I want to release out there, okay? So you're going hip, hands, plant, turn, release. See that? Release out there. That's my release point. Hips, hands, plant, turn, release out there. I'm releasing way out there. Look at it from down here. From this angle, hips, hands, plant, turn, release. You're releasing out there. See that? Hips, hands, plant, turn, release. To release at the ball, you're gonna have to start releasing here. And that's why you have early release. If you wanna release out there at the target, then you start unloading right in here, and then you release fully out there. That's the key piece to this whole, conundrum, is releasing out there, not out here. When you release out here, you're coming down like this, and you're like this, which equals that. If you don't rotate your hips, you're gonna get stuck in here and look like this. Okay? That's why you have to get here. And then I've never seen anybody with a great hip turn have an early release problem. So that's very important as well. Okay, so the question is, why are we doing all these things in the order in which we're doing them? Like, why the hips first? Because we need to get those hips firing. If you're sliding your weight back and forth, it's gonna get stuck there. If you just rotate it back, then it's gonna have a better chance of being your first move on your downswing if you started with your hips first. You start here, it's gonna be activated. Tiger would say, we're gonna activate your hips so that it's then your first move to start your downswing, okay? Why the hands? Well, we don't want our grip to be so tight and rigid that it has nowhere to go but release. So we're trying to loosen that up. We wanna loosen everything up, get more fluidity, more kind of noodle motion. It gets a lot more whip and a lot more speed, and it helps everything stay back longer. So that's why that's step 1 and step 2, okay? And then step 3, we're starting that swing with the planting of our left foot. That's gonna help your hips fire. It's gonna help you get the right body rotation and the right weight distribution. Okay, right here. When it's all loose and working properly. That's gonna be a huge help for you. So you gotta plant and turn. That's step 3 and step 4 right there, working together. Those two really are together, 3 and 4. Here, plant and turn. You want that. And if you have those loose hands, when you plant and turn, your wrist cock is gonna come later on in the swing, more on the down swing. And right now for this drill, we wanna get there, like a down cock in our downswing. We're not rotating that face open, we're keeping it shut if anything, but we're just setting those wrists in the downswing as opposed to early on here, because then it's gonna release. You're gonna be so cocked and rigid and tight at the top of your swing, that's gonna be your first move. We want the opposite to happen. We want to come here and we want it to look more like that on the downswing for this drill. And you'll slowly start developing a better release point. Obviously, and then that release we talked about, extending it out there. Release out there, not at the ball. Just a mindset. It's a mind shift in our thought. Don't try to release here. Try to release out there at the flag stick. Like I'm throwing the club at the flag. And think about that. Just a little subtle shift in our thought will create a huge difference down at the ball. I'm going to try to release my club into the net. And you could hear a huge difference already. You start making, look at that. Good solid ball contact. Right there, sweet spot, compression. Hands are going to be more forward as opposed to back. But all those pieces have to work together for you to have great success and eliminate that early release syndrome that plagues so many of us, all right? So, is one of these more important than the other? They kind of all work together. Certainly you can't release properly without those hips moving. So if your hips aren't opening enough, you're not, you don't have enough flexibility in this hips and they're not working, so then the rest isn't gonna work. You kind of need them all to work together. So work this drill with these steps in your mind, one at a time. Get step 1, then move on to step 2, and just keep adding a piece as you go. Hit 10 shots on piece 1, then 10 shots piece 1 and 2, then 10 shots piece 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth until you got them all put together. And believe me, it's gonna help your ball striking incredibly. And work with irons first, and then move up into longer and longer clubs. The more practice and the better you get at it. Let me know if this works. I'm rooting for you. I'm here for you. I get excited because I want you guys to improve, and I get just motivated the more success stories I hear. So comment below. Let me know how you're doing. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. I love you guys. Good luck out there. Go crush it. See ya.